I'm Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts and Lazy Girl Designs, and welcome to another video in my Cuppa Tea video tutorial series. The Cuppa Tea videos will help you make your very own Cuppa Tea quilt, and they will be available ongoing to help you in the process. You can ask for the book and the ruler at your favorite local quilt shop. In this video, I'm going to talk specifically about border prints and help you to plan and to cut your border print. So what does that mean? If you open up your book to the table of contents, you'll see a version of the quilt made with ROAR by Tula Pink. And in it, I used the meteor shower print for the border. This is that fabric. And as you can see, it has this amazing border and it happens to be printed on both ends of the selvage. And it's got all these great dinos and whatnot. And I wanted to be able to feature that in the large border around the entire quilt. And then I wanted to use these fabrics in the blocks. So normally we make our blocks and then we worry about our border. But here we have to go a little bit backwards because we need to make sure that we cut our border off first before we do any of our block fabrics. So I'm going to show you how I go about cutting off my border like this so that I have preserved it for the outside, and then I have my center fabric that I can use in my blocks. So let's get started. So the first thing I need to do is cut the borders off of this fabric and set them aside so that I'll have them available when I get to that stage in making the quilt. So what I'm doing here is I'm folding the fabric in half, right sides together, lining up the same selvage on top of itself, and then folding it one more time so that I have 4 layers on the table. I'm doing lots of double checks to make sure it's lined up on top of each other as best as possible. Then I rotate the fabric 90 degrees so that I'll be able to cut off the border. In the directions, I tell you to cut the border for this quilt at 11 inches. I decided to cut 12 inches off to give myself some wiggle room here in case my cut is not perfectly straight. I line up the one ruler right on the edge of where the gray meets the selvage, and then butt the other ruler up next to it and cut so that I have 12 inches along the entire selvage. I'm now going to set this aside until I'm at the border section of my quilt. I'm going to repeat these steps on the other side to cut the second border off. If you're choosing to use this method, you'll need 6 yards of the fabric that you want to use for the border print. 2 pieces that are each 3 yards long. You don't need one piece that is 6 yards long, and if you have a piece that is that long, I suggest you cut it into 2 pieces that are each 3 yards long. I'm now going to set that second border aside. I now need to cut strips so that I'll be able to cut my lazy angle shapes and my other shapes needed for the quilt. Additionally, I plan on using this fabric for the binding, but I'll cut those strips from the second set of 3 yards that I'll cut since I really want to get started on my blocks right now. I decided to pull out my Sew Tights magnetic cutting board. I really like using this when cutting my strips and my lazy angle pieces, as it just helps me to make sure that the ruler doesn't slip at all. So I just put that on top of my large mat. And you'll see that now I'm beginning to cut my A pieces that I need from this fabric, following the directions that are in the book. And I'm sorry you see my head on top of the ruler here and there. That's because I really wanted to make sure that things were lining up. So I like to get up close and personal when I'm doing my cutting so that I make sure things are lined up. It's one of those measure twice, cut once type of situations. So I'm going to cut some A's and I'm going to cut some B's. Follow along your pattern. Each block tells you how many A's, how many B's of each fabric that you need. And after I do this with the dark gray, I'm going to cut strips from my other 2 fabrics to rotary cut my pieces. With those, I don't have to worry about cutting off my border first, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut strips off of those fabric as they were folded on the bolt. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful on how to cut a border print for the Cuppa Tea Quilt. If you did, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, you can ask those in the comments below. And if you've not yet signed up for the Cuppa Tea Sew Along, which is coming in the fall, you can do so in the caption below as well. I look forward to seeing your Cuppa Tea quilt and sewing along with you later this year.